Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Marta. I come from Norway and I love makeup, especially indie makeup and sparkly things. And today I did this neutral look using two new palettes that I bought. And I'm feeling like the most basic bitch because it's actually these two. It's Lorac Pro Soleil and Pro Noir palettes. And they're very, very neutral. I will be doing swatches of the shadows and I also will do a short tutorial of the look that I created right here. So if you're interested in seeing that, then please keep on watching. So I will just start off by talking a little bit about the palettes because I did a little twist to these palettes, like they're not new or anything, but I just thought they were so beautiful. And the thing I did is that I took my favorite shades out of both palettes and I reorganized them into this palette, like the Noir palette. They're basically the same, they look completely the same, like the packaging, but I did take them out because the interesting thing about these palettes is that you can do this. So you can take all of the shadows out. They even come with this tiny little, like, what do you even call it, like a depotting tool. It looks like, wait, here you can see, it's kind of like a small key that you just push out the shadows, and they don't like pop out or anything. You just really easily take them out without worrying about them falling out or anything, because they are magnetic as well. So you just push a little bit and then it will kind of just lift a little bit out of the palette, which is so simple. So the thing is, I took all my favorite shadows into this one, so that's how I will swatch the palettes. I will swatch this palette and I will also swatch like the leftover shades that are in the Soleil palette right now. And that one looks like this. I did take a few photos like of these together, so I will just show you that right now so you can see the top palette, which is my palette, and the bottom one, which is the leftover shadows. So most of the ones in the top palette are the sparkly ones, because Lorac actually improved their shadows quite a bit because they did like this revamp about a year ago. And a lot, like almost all of these are very textured and sparkly. So that's what kind of got me wanting, or like got me interested in these palettes. So I'm just going to go ahead and swatch these so you can see for yourself how sparkly and beautiful they are. And I will be putting an N behind the shadow, which is from the Noir palette, like the original Noir palette, and an S behind the shadows that are from the Soleil palette. Let's get going. So I think I'll just swatch them row by row, because if not it will be so many shades on my arm. So here's the first row with my reorganized Noir palette. You can see, like, I would say that this one, Opal, is not a sparkly shade in the finish if you compare it to like the others here that are like extremely sparkly, but you can still see all of those tiny sparkles and it's very reflective as well. I'm really impressed with all the formulas, to be honest. I'm really excited, and this one is just so gorgeous. Just look at those sparkles. And the first one, White Diamond, is really like a white diamond. It's so sparkly and just beautiful. And then we have those transition shades that work well for me. So yeah, that's the first row.
To
have the second row, and as you can see, this last shade here is like basically why the Soleil palette was so irresistible to me. I feel like it's a duochrome like pink to gold, and also this one, Mirage, from the Soleil palette. It's more of a metallic than a sparkly shade, but it's like a green-brown duochrome as well. And of course these mattes are just beautiful, and this is kind of like the warm row. The previous one was like the transition row, then we have the warm row, and then we have like a slightly more neutral / cool toned row in the end. But yeah, these are so beautiful. This one as well is more of a metallic shade than a sparkly shade, but again you can see all of those small sparkles in this one. So excited about this. The last row in my reorganized Noir palette. This is like the deep row, as you can see. The first shade is kind of more like a metallic shade, again with some small sparkles. The two browns, I actually thought that this one from the Noir palette was the deepest one, but like, I don't know, they look a little bit different swatched out than in the pan, because the ash brown one here, it looked a little bit more warmer toned in the pan and lighter in my opinion, whereas this one looked cooler toned and deeper. But it's almost like, I guess with the warmth it's right, but I feel like the ash brown shade from the Soleil palette is a little bit deeper. Anyway, the two last shimmers here are so sparkly and gorgeous. I'm obsessed. This one, which is called Majestic from the Noir palette, it almost has kind of like a purpley tinge to it, and the other one here is just kind of like a neutral golden bronzy shade. So yeah, I really like this. Now we're getting into the leftover palette, as I call it, and here I didn't really arrange the shadows. As you can see, they're just like everywhere, but who cares? The first row of the leftover palette. You can't even see the first shade because it's basically my skin tone. I do like the mattes. The shimmers right here aren't exactly too exciting to me, but they are pretty, of course. That second row, as you can see, this one is kind of up my alley, and I did decide between this one, which is Quartz, and Warm Honey that I put in the other palette. but I ended up on Warm Honey instead because that is a little bit warmer. But this is the metallic with a lot of sparkles. And the other two shimmers here are more kind of like satiny or, I don't know, regular shimmers. And I do really like these tones of mattes. They're neutral but quite warm, at least the first and the second. And the middle one is kind of more like a neutral brown. Last but not least, we have this row where you can see that most of these are just regular shimmers or foils like the first one, and then satin ones. And I was initially a little bit interested in this more purpley satin shade, but that interest kind of died when I swatched it. Like, I don't know what I was expecting, but it's not that exciting to me. I don't know, maybe for the lower lash line when you're doing a smoky look or something, for just a tiny bit of sheen. I don't know, none of these really excite me too much, but at least here you can see them swatched out. And I guess now we can just get going and I can show you the look that I created. So if you want to see that, then please keep on watching. I literally cannot decide what to do, so I like swatched all of the shimmers here just to see like which do I really want to use, and I still don't know. So I'm just going to start off with some mattes and then we'll just take it from there. I will just go ahead and start with the deepest brown right here. I feel like this is a little bit more neutral. For my base, I'm using the Smashbox primer, which is my favorite. And then I also added a little bit of my Makeup Revolution concealer just to the outer and inner parts of the eye to cover up like the discoloration that I have. And this shadow, it barely had any kick up in the pan. I don't know if you can like see that, but it's very little. And it seems to be very pigmented, so I'm just going to use this to kind of deepen up. I'm not sure if I will use the black. Maybe I will just do like a smoky kind of wing or something. We will see. Just upon blending right here, it looks like it's just blending really seamlessly, to be honest. And this is a very, very dark brown. So I think I want to keep this look relatively neutral, maybe with a pop of one of the more colorful shimmers on the lower lash line. I'm not sure. But I'm now going into this one. I think this is called something like Soft Taupe. Yeah, it's called Soft Taupe, and I'm just going to use that to blend out the deeper brown here. Yeah, it's really pretty. The brush I was using previously was Glam Shop 022. This one is from What's Up Beauty, and it was gifted to me, and it's R105. Yeah, these are just blending so beautifully. I definitely get the hype from, or is it Lorac even hyped? I guess it's not that hyped anymore, but they definitely was one of like the biggest brands when, I think, in the beginning of like beauty YouTube and stuff. I don't know, I might be wrong. If you have heard of Lorac like a long time ago, like me, let me know down below. I'm just really curious about how you guys are feeling about this brand, because I feel like I think of it as one of like the biggest beauty brands, or the first biggest beauty brands, but I'm not sure if that is correct or if it's just me. Now I'm taking the What's Up Beauty R103 brush, and then I'm going to take this lightest shade, which is called Ecru. It's from the Noir palette. And I'm just going to place this all over the inner parts of the crease. I think it really picked up quite a bit. And this is like, it has a slightly yellow undertone, which I think is really cool, because it gives off a little bit more of like a grungy look. And I just really think that's a very, very cool shade. I'm also just dragging it right over top of where I placed that other transition shade, just to make sure that my base is set. And I'm really liking how, I don't know, how soft yet smoky this look is. And I cannot wait to put on some of those shimmers. I'll probably go in with a bit of white diamond on the inner parts here, and I'll just give it a little bit of time to think of what I want to do for the kind of like outer part of the lid right here. I have decided I want to use a tiny bit of this one, Majestic, from the Noir palette for the outer lid, and then I'm going in with this one, which is Rendezvous, also from the Noir palette, and then I'm going to use this one for the inner parts of the lid. And we will just see how much I will use of both, or all of them. But I'm just going to use my glam glue from Glam Shop first as a base to make them really pop. So I just took this flat brush. It's a little bit of a more detailed flat brush, and I'm just adding Majestic right here to the outer V kind of. And I only want this much of it. I don't want too much of it because, I don't know, it's very, very deep. Then I'm just wiping it off on my color switch, and then I'm taking the shade Rendezvous that I showed you. Wow, these are so textured and beautiful. And I kind of wonder how these will look together, because this one is slightly more, like, it's not necessarily warm, but it's more of a neutral shade, whereas this one is like straight up silvery or dark gray, I guess you could say. Ooh, but I do think this is looking good, and these shadows are so beautiful, to be honest. And if you've been here before, you know that I like to kind of place my shimmers in a diagonal line. I don't really know why, I just liked the look of it, and I'm kind of just messing up the edges here. I don't want too sharp of an edge. And then I'm taking a completely different brush. This one I've never even used, it's just from Wish, but I'm picking up White Diamond, which is that white shimmer, and this one is very transparent, it has seemed like, when I have been trying to swatch it. Wow, that is beautiful though. So I'm just going to add this first, just to make sure that I have this as clean as possible on the inner parts right here. And then I'll just go back to the other brush that I used with Rendezvous and try to like blend them a bit together. I think if you use the shade Ink, which is the black matte, and just blend it out with the lightest matte Ecru, this together with this black would make a super beautiful, very cool toned look. I'm just picking up a tiny bit more of the shade Rendezvous, and now I'm just trying to blend it together with that white shade, give it a little bit more color, because as you can see, it's basically like transparent, but with a white sparkly finish. I'm now going to go in with the black, and I'm going to create like a smoky wing. So I'm just taking a very sharp brush like this. This is Morphe MB26, and I'm literally just going to use the sheet with the names to make sure I get like a crisp line. So I'm just like placing it where I want it, making sure I look straight forward when doing this. It's a little bit hard to do this on camera. And then I'm just going to lay down the black shade right here. And this will make sure that you get a very opaque line too, because you can just load it on right here. So I don't know how this ended up, because like it's hard to do it while filming, but I'm just going to like blend it out a bit, and I'm also going to add that black as kind of like my liner all over here, because I will be going in with some falsies, and I tend to always want to darken up the upper lash line then. I just cleaned up the lines on both sides a little bit and removed all of the fallout that I had. I had a little bit from the black as well as a little bit of the shimmers. But I think that these don't really have that much fallout if you're careful. But now I'm going to take this one, which is the shade Smoke, and then I'm going to blend it into this one, which is Ash Brown, I think, but it's kind of like a more warmer toned brown, I believe. And then I think I will just add a little bit of Warm Honey for like the inner parts right here, just to create like a little bit of a contrast to the cooler tones that I have on the upper lid right here, and I think that will be really pretty. And I'm just using that same brush that I used to begin with, the 022 one, And I think I'll use some of the transition shades to like blend here. So I think I'm actually happy with how much I already have on there. Then I'm taking an even smaller blending brush. This one from Glam Shop, it's number 027. Like those two are probably my favorite brushes in my whole collection, to be honest. Now I'm taking that ash brown shade and I'm just going to apply that right here. Like I don't want too much of it, just to make sure I have a deeper base for the shimmer so that it really pops. And as you can see, this is turning very smoky very fast. So if you don't, like if you want to have a look like this but not as smoky, you can definitely just go in with a tiny bit of the deeper one right there and then some of the more like transition shades for the inner parts here. But I'm going all in and I think I will be going in with this one, just because I want a little bit of that mustardy tone to complement the shimmer. And now I'm just taking that mustardy shade. It's Morocco, by the way. I think it's from the Soleil palette. And I'm just adding that here to the inner parts. And I tend to smoke it out like until I've reached just past where my creasing or wrinkle, I don't know what you would call it. Is it really a wrinkle? Well, I'll just go past that because then I won't have to worry about my eyeshadow transferring underneath. And I don't really care about blending these two. If I wanted to, I would go back into the deeper one. But I will be placing the shimmer basically over here, I think, until like the middle of the eye. So now I'm just, again, using my color switch and going into the shade Soft Taupe, which is the one that I used to transition the deepest shade up here. And then I'm just going to run that right over here. And then I will just add my Glam Glue and the shade Warm Honey, and then I'll finish the rest of my makeup and show you the close-up. I will be using the shade White Diamond right here for the inner corner as well. Was the close-up of this look, and I personally thought that these shadows applied so beautifully. They were so easy to work with, and as you can see from like the reflection of the shadows, they're very sparkly and textured. I personally really like these shimmers. They're so beautiful, and even the metallic ones, like the ones that aren't the most sparkly, still have some sparkles in it, and they're very like foiled and beautiful. For example, the shade that I used underneath here is more of a metallic one, but it still has those golden warm sparkles to it. So my my first impression of these palettes is that I actually love them, and this is not making it easier for me not to pick up some more palettes from them. Even though I'm not like the most neutral eyeshadow wearer, I do like a neutral look as well, and I have been getting a little bit more into neutral looks, even though I do make them a little bit more smoky and, yeah, intense, I guess you could say. But I might be purchasing some more palettes if I see them on sale, like the Mirage palette. It looks really beautiful, but I will try to hold off. As for now, I'm really happy with these two, and I cannot wait to be trying out like the black shade here together with this one, which is the one I used in the outer corner here, because I think that would make a really beautiful smoky look. I'm really happy with how this look turned out. I'm just feeling all the fall vibes, and I did pair it with my Kaleidos makeup Cloud Lab Lip Clay, I think it's called. I always mess that up. And it's in the shade Terra, which is just a gorgeous like warm pumpkin orange shade. And I also feel like it goes just so well with like my earrings. These ones I made myself, and I'm so excited because they're like, this is just so perfect together. I'm so obsessed. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video and you like the swatches and the look that I did. If you did like it, then please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content from me. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!